right, welcome all. Welcome to Tuesday, October 15th, 2019 Board of Selectmen meeting. Before we get started, would you please stand with me and salute the flag?
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, you said there was a draw.
All right, we're going to get started for our schedule items. So we have 7 o'clock. What we have is the Wamisit Entertainment and liquor license change request. So you can come forward, but we're going to separate this in a few parts. I just want to explain to the residents that are in here and the folks watching. So we have a request to update the Wamisit Entertainment license. We're going to take that in two parts. We're going to take the indoor and we're going to take the outdoor. And we also have a request change for a liquor license change. We're going to take that first. So essentially, we're going to talk about the liquor license change, number one. We're going to take a vote. Then we're going to talk about the indoor change request. Then we're going to take a vote. And we're going to do the outdoor change request and take a vote. All three will be separate public hearings, so I'll let the residents speak on all of those. So we're going to try to simplify it as best we can because there's a lot we're going to have to get through. And out of respect to the folks that are here, because this might take some time, what I'd like to do is we're going to start it up. We're going to start with the liquor license. We're going to talk through that. I'll open up the public hearing. We'll close the public hearing. We'll make a vote. What we're probably going to do is jump to the 7:15 and or the 7:20 appointment, just out of respect to the folks that are here, because like I said, we could be here for a little bit of time, and rightfully so. And just for the audience, before we get going, I did meet with Mr. McLaren and Mr. Montori prior to this, just to kind of level set what the ask was, because it's very confusing, this application. And oh, by the way, our application is very broad in the town, whether it's, especially with regards to entertainment. So, and oh, by the way, our application's better than most towns and cities, but it still kind of leaves some gray areas. And I just wanted to kind of get on paper of what Mr. McLaren, what he was going to use for applications, both inside and outside. So it wasn't the vote on anything, it was just to get clarification to kind of bring that to the board, that's all. So with that being said, Mr. McLaren, let's go to the first order of business. So what we want to talk about, first and foremost, do I have a motion to waive the public hearing?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. So what we're going to do is, Mr. McLaren, let's state your business for the alcohol. Then what we're going to do is going to pause. I'm going to open up to any abutters that would like to talk. Then I'll close the public hearing. Then we'll bring it back to the board. Sound reasonable? Mm-hmm. All right, Mr. McLaren, let's start with your request to change the liquor license change request.
So I'm here to request an adjustment to the existing liquor license to be for Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1, and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 1 a.m.
All right, I'm just going to help the board out quickly here. So a few things are in play here, again, for the residents and for the audience here. So when Mr. McLaren, when you opened up your hours of operation, we're talking about entertainment license, we're talking about a liquor license. When you opened up, you actually had to get a hour of operations allowed planning board special permit, which is independent of tonight. However, just for the board's awareness, when the planning board issued the special permit, your hours of operation were set from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Again, 9 a.m. Again, this is totally different what we're going to talk about tonight. But I wanted to bring that up because we actually looked at and reviewed it and say, wait a minute, you know, here are your hours of operation through the planning board special permit. However, keep me honest here, you're going to go in front of the planning board next week to pretty much reverse those orders. Because when you have to open up, you have to set some parameters. Now, how many years, 4 or 5 years later?
Yeah, 4 years now.
4 years now you're going to modify the hours.
Correct.
So our voting tonight, whether it's the affirmative or not the affirmative, are going to be subject to ... the subject to the vote next week for the planning board special permit. Does that make sense to the board? That make sense? Okay. Mm-hmm. So that's next Monday. You're going to go in front of the planning board. And what are your hours? You're going to extend your hours, or what's the ask for the planning board next week?
8 a.m. to 1 a.m.
8 a.m. to 1 a.m. Okay, and that makes sense for the board, it's clarified? Okay.
Also Sunday? Or 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. on Sunday?
8 a.m. to 1 a.m. 7 days a week.
Okay.
Sundays
It's
and
different. Right.
So again, any vote would have to be subject to the approval of the planning board, and we'll go with that, okay? Okay, so your current hours that you can sell alcoholic beverages are the following. And I'm not gonna talk about what we approved back in the spring leading up to September. Let's talk about the current.
Okay.
So the current is 11 a.m. to 1 a.m., 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. That's actually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Again, 11 a.m. to 1 a.m., with the exception on Sunday. Right now, it's currently 12 p.m. to 1 a.m., correct?
Correct.
All right, very good. So now you're requesting, so the request in front of the board is Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 a.m. So the deviation's 8 a.m. start time as opposed to 11 o'clock start time. That's Monday through Saturday. And then Sunday, the deviation, current is 12 to 1, and the deviation would be 10 a.m. So again, 10 to 12.
Application.
Correct? Do I have that?
Correct.
This is from him.
Okay. So at this point, what I'd like to do, let's open it up to the board, and then I'll pause the board, we'll open it up to the residents, we'll close the public hearing, and then we'll conclude with the board. So,
Mr. Chairman, can I just clarify one thing? On the letter that Mr. McLaren sent for Sunday, you have 10 a.m. to 1 a.m., not 8 a.m.
Yeah, so the liquor license is 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. on Sunday. The hours of operation would be 8 a.m. to 1 a.m.
So you're looking for 8? Okay, just want to clarify that. No,
is that,
it's not politicist.
go ahead.
Close that door. The opening, I understand, the opening hours you're looking for is 8 a.m. to 1 a.m., but serving alcohol on Sunday would be 10 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Right.
So we're talking about the liquor license. The planning board will be looking at the 8 a.m. Sunday.
Right, let's get it straight. As far as the hours of operation, when you can unlock the doors and close the doors, that's gonna be the planning board next week, and you said you're going from 8 a.m. to 1 a.m., correct?
7 days a week, yep.
Right, so that's not on our agenda tonight, that's gonna be yeah, and so we're gonna talk about right now the request to extend or deviate the liquor license hours, correct?
Thought he said 8 a.m.
So at this point, before I open up to the abutters, any questions, comments directed to Mr. McLaren from the board?
I guess I have a quick question. So just to get the discussion going on the 8 a.m. hour, why the need for 8 a.m. versus 11 a.m.? And I know, I can see some of that on a Saturday, Sunday, maybe Friday, Thursday. So why on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday on 8
Yes,
a.m.?
we're looking to build on our business as it is right now. As we get into the winter season, the golf season, we're looking for some flexibility, again, as we even expand into our brunch hours as well. There's a possibility of me opening our golf simulator room a little bit earlier for tournaments and stuff like that. So we just want to have the flexibility to build on what we're looking to do 6 months down the road, 9 months down the road. And cornhole tournaments and different fundraising opportunities as
So
well.
giving you the option to be able to schedule those events and not worry about the liquor, it can start at 8 a.m. serving liquor. So the, like a golf tournament, a fundraiser that you have in the outside courses, those tend to start that early as well. So you're
Correct.
trying to you're seeing some of that golf activity in your establishment because of the golf
Exactly.
simulators.
Yep. We're just trying to compete in line with them as well.
And then do you have leagues? Do you have early leagues or late leagues? I know there's a league Thursday night that gets 12, 1 o'clock, so I know it finishes up late, so I can see the 1 a.m. But do you have leagues in the morning?
We'll have leagues starting at 10 a.m. We'll have leagues starting at 10 a.m., but the leagues aren't really where we're looking to create the avenue for liquor consumption. It's more for the special events that we might bring in and pull in for those things.
Right, and I know you've been here many, many times.
Yes.
And requested special events, and those special events have been 8 o'clock requests. So you're trying to allow your establishment not having to continue to come up before the board and ask for those special events. You're just, trust us, we have all the tips, all the training, where the way you serve alcohol, you feel you can start at 8 and end at 1.
Yeah, we take that very serious with our training. We have our ID scanners, they get updated every change that the state may have. We have 7 of them in our facility. We pay a monthly subscription to make sure that that stuff happens. All of our bartenders, all of our servers are all tip certified. All of our security, they're all crowd management certified. All of our managers are crowd management certified. So we take it very, very serious
Right.
when we bring some of these people on staff.
Right, so you're not going to put your establishment in jeopardy by doing anything crazy. So
Yeah.
you're requesting these hours in order to manage your events, your special events, things like that. I'm not getting the impression that you're going to be serving alcohol 7 days a week at 8 a.m.
Correct. That's not the case.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Brian Dick, how about Ms. Jane Miller?
Thank you. Thank you. Just a quick question, and this sort of commingles the entertainment license request with the liquor request, but it's apropos. And I know we'll be talking about that more later. You, on your list, you had mentioned camp groups and so forth was one of the reasons you were requesting an earlier opening time, and that was some of the stuff, and I thought that was interesting. What I'm interested to know is how do you plan, and you mentioned that you needed to have amplification inside and outside throughout the premises so that camp counselors could make announcements and so forth to their groups. I understand that. What I'm interested to know is how do you separate under 21 organizations and events with 21 plus events? Because you want to have some of these groups, but you also want to have, the special events and the golf fundraiser, or, the whatever it is. So what are the practicalities about how you separate those kinds of things? And then one of the things I'd be interested to know is when you have an under 21 event, like camps and so forth, would that be something you'd be willing to bring back to talk about so that we could make sure that there's not sort of this commingling necessarily of events at the same time or in the same space in the building? So I'm just kind of curious, that's where my mind is right now, and I'm curious.
Yeah, so what we would typically do is the camp groups on the opposite side of the building, if they're outside, pretty much stay to their own secluded area. I can see it as you're describing it as it being an issue to try to identify different groups. No different than we have multiple parties in there. We might have party A and party B. We wristband and color coordinate to kind of keep people separated from the different areas of the building, and then we can cone them off or use our theater stanchions with security or added personnel or chaperones if we needed to just kind of keep everybody in a contained area. Fortunately for us, we have different areas we can kind of keep them.
Yep, no, you have like arcade and,
Yeah.
no, I've been to your facility many times. It's a good facility. I've held fundraisers there, so I understand exactly what you're talking about. And so that's with the much earlier serving time, to your point about, golf fundraisers or particularly adult-specific events where a brunch interest or there might be that sort of, component, I think is, support that. I'm curious on the public side, how do we separate the kids and stuff? So I appreciate your explanation along those lines. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Ms. Stronach?
Thank you. I do not have any questions regarding the liquor license. I think the notice was pretty clear. I know that you have come before us many, many times, and for me, I am okay with a 10 o'clock start. As I've expressed before, I think that serving alcohol at 8 a.m. puts us at our precedent that I'm uncomfortable with for myself. So I will not be supporting an 8 a.m. liquor license for your establishment or any other establishment in the town. Thank you.
Mr. Kratman?
All right, I got a couple of questions. I know you've come before us before, talked about brunches and other things that are coming on. Is there a plan to put something like that together this fall? Is that something that I know we've gone through your application, but is there a plan of doing it on specific days? Are you trying to compete with other places? Like, where is this coming from?
Yeah, we're actually pretty excited about our brunch rollout with new management taking control of unleashing this stuff. Veterans Day is going to be an event. where we've got our 5K run. That's going to be tied into one of our first launches of our brunch, and then to roll that into Sunday morning brunch, which again is why all this stuff kind of lines up, and try to hit a different market that we haven't been able to hit. So we're pretty excited about it.
Okay, the other question I have is, I honestly don't have a problem with some of the 8 AM because I honestly don't think you're gonna have other than a special event, you're not gonna get a large crowd. I can't see the town of Tewksbury
Right.
going drinking at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Right,
So I just don't think you're gonna really have a large crowd showing up for something like that. I think there's other things that people would rather be doing. But, for a special event or something that's running on, like I said, a golf tournament, a brunch, wedding, something like that in the morning, whatever it may be, I understand that. Special events, I get it. Every day, 8 o'clock in the morning, I just don't see you're going to have a very big business.
No.
There's not going to be a calling for
agree.
that.
Yeah.
My concerns really go around with the noise and what goes on with it. You're asking for a license specifically, but we also want to talk about, how this is going to be maintained, because you're asking for certain things to be going on. I mean, we got outdoor entertainment. I'm thinking, like, we allowed a lot of this stuff to happen during the summer because we thought that was a good thing to do. It's summertime, people are outdoors, people want to be outdoors. I thought it was very successful. We watched back and forth, we kind of kept the noise down. But when we get to wintertime months and people are in school and the neighbors want to get to sleep and get a reasonable hour, 8 o'clock in the morning, like, how are you going to maintain the noise levels if you have like an outdoor event or something like that? I mean, you're looking for 8 o'clock indoor and outdoor?
For the liquor license?
Yes.
Yeah, to be able to, the entire facility.
So what type of events would you plan on having? I mean, I'm looking at these things, that we're talking about amplification and other things. That's just some of my concerns with some of the, making sure that, I want you to be a successful business, but I also want to talk about, how you control certain things of, if you're having something at 8 o'clock in the morning outdoors during the quieter months, it's cold, people aren't going to be out there. I mean, what would you plan on having out there? Just when it gets cold and it's 30 degrees out, I can't see a big calling for everyone to be out at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I highly doubt anybody's going to be outside most of those times. We might do like an ice bar or something like that randomly, but in the wintertime, it's mostly, we're looking at the brunches, we're looking at wedding showers, we're looking at maybe mini wedding receptions. We've had them in the past, and we continue to have them. Little mini reunions and stuff like that, some big, some small, so,
Would the majority of this be taking place indoors, though?
yeah.
No,
For the winter months, yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
that's what I'm looking at. I just want to hear that, when things are happening indoors, I haven't heard a complaint. Things are happening outdoors, we hear complaints. So that's why we want to clarify when these events are going to be happening and what type of things are going to be going on, so, okay, that's all I have.
All right, perfect. We're going to get to the entertainment section in a little bit here. So a few things, Mr. McLaren, you said you have 7 IDs. I think this is important because it ties in directly with that license. 7 ID readers, are those that easy where you just scan a license and boom, green, 21 under?
Yeah, yep.
You said tip certified, crowd management. What about a procedure? So what happens when a patron is recognized maybe that they're crossing a line or over a line? What is your procedure or protocol for that instant?
Yeah, so based on the tip certification, we're looking at all the different signs, and a bartender has a right to shut anybody off for any reason at any time, and they go to a manager, get them involved. The manager goes and gets whatever other managers are involved, and also the security and all the other bartenders, so they're all aware of who is being served and who's not being served.
Because you have two places where actually sell alcohol, right?
Yep.
One on both sides of the establishment, so you have to be careful in that sense,
Yep.
right?
So we'll remove the wristband, we'll put an X on the hand, and we notify all the bartenders, give them a glass of water, and just let it be that.
Okay. And for me personally, I do think, I said it once and I'll say it again, I do think you have a very unique business when it comes to entertaining. I think we all can attest to that based on how many times you come in front of the board asking for, whether it's modification to the liquor license or to the entertainment license. I don't see you running at the club. And to Mr. Kratman's point, I would think Monday through Thursday, 8 AM, maybe in the summer, I guess, but 8 AM from Monday to Thursday, I do have a question mark as well. Is 10 o'clock more reasonable? Right now you have 11. What time would you, I like to use specific examples. So you mentioned on Mother's Day, like brunch. What time would you potentially, just use that as an example? Wait, is that something you would start at potentially at 8 AM, like on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday?
Right now, we have it slated for 9 AM.
9 AM, so 9 AM would, and if a wedding party came in, same thing? Is it typically, have you done that before, like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock?
Yeah, we haven't served the liquor,
Yeah.
but we've certainly had events requests for those earlier times.
Okay.
The brunches are just a big thing, and we're missing out on it, so we want to just jump into that whole.
I don't think we're gonna talk about the noise and the decibels, but I truly feel like you're not gonna turn this into a club. I just think it's the very nature of your business versus a lot of other businesses in this community and way outside of this community, that's all. So, that's all I had. So what I'm gonna do now is pause, and at this point, again, really, we're talking about the liquor portion here. Are there any abutters that would like to speak? Please come to the podium. Okay, seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. So, before I kind of close it down, any other questions to Mr. McLaren, please, proceed.
Oh, no, my question's to Mr. Montori.
Absolutely.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. With other establishments in town that serve liquor, what is the earliest time that we allow them to serve liquor?
I believe it's 11.
So all of their establishments are 11 AM? Okay, that's just a.
Sunday's noon. Sunday's
Sunday's
noon.
noon. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Again, any other comments from the board?
I through you to the town manager, the Sunday licenses, do we have some sort of, I know we've had correspondence with the ABC, what we're allowed and what we're not allowed to do on Sunday. Is there something, what is the specifics? I know we got a request here right now for 10, but did
I
the
think
ABC?
10, yeah, I think 10's the earliest you can allow.
And I
You can't
know
give
you
an 8
mentioned
o'clock
something
on
about
Sunday.
going and asking for 8, 7 days a week, going to the other board, going to asking the planning board for a special permit of those. I know we issue the liquor, but the earliest we possibly can allow is 10 o'clock on Sunday, that's correct? Yeah.
That's what he's requested.
Yeah, no, I get it, I just wanna, there was some conversation about opening at 8, 7 days a week, and I know that was the hours operations compared to liquor. I just wanna make it very clear that there's nothing on Sunday that's allowed prior to 10. Thank you.
I have a comment. I appreciate that all the information that we have here is a great packet, very thick, lots of detail, so I appreciate that and the information you brought forward. Thank you. It's really good, and I got a good sense, and I appreciated the supplemental information that you had about what kind of event. We'll get into the events thing in a minute. The only concern I have, the 8 AM concerns me, it's very early, and I'm concerned about the precedent about setting hours that are outside of what the special permit is, having the special permit not having been addressed yet. So, I would certainly support a 9 AM that meets their current special permit with the 10 AM on Sunday. And they're already open till 1 AM anyway, and I believe you're serving till 1 AM, is that correct? Renee? So those are just my thoughts. But my concern is what kind of a precedent are we setting? We're already making the hours substantially earlier than other establishments in town, and I think that we may see others come forward for roughly the same reasons.
Point taken, understood. I think Mr. Montori exactly called that out as well, so. Any other questions, comments for the board? Seeing none, what is the pleasure of the board? Do we have any motions?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the liquor license request from the requested hours that we've been discussing, 8 AM to 1 AM, and then Sunday, 10 PM to 1 AM, subject to the planning board special permit change.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a motion, a second, any discussion?
Yes, one thing. If we approve these hours and the planning board does not change the special permit, then there's nothing. You have to come back and apply again
Mr.
for the
Montori.
9 AM Is that correct?
Ms. Montori, I believe that's correct.
I just want to be clear on the procedure that if this is approved and you're shot down next week, that we have to go through, we have to have another conversation.
Everything would default to this current
Current license.
license.
The existing license.
Correct.
Because I just want to have that respect for the planning board,
Yep.
and that process is important to me. Okay.
So I have a motion, a second. Any other further discussion?
Oh, we had a motion in front of us. I was just thinking for the term of this license, is this, this is the length of the complete term. It's just, I didn't know. I know when we.
This will only go till December 31st of this year.
December 31st,
Yeah.
okay. That's what I was wondering,
Oh, it's just-
when this will end. So this way, this will go to the end of the year, so we'll be able to see how this
And it
works
comes
to
in
the
for
end of the
renewal.
year, and then have if there was adjustment needed to be made, we'll at least be able to do that. Okay, that was my time frame. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Stronach?
Just for clarification, that is the date that all licenses end. This is not anything that we're doing specific, similar to the summer where we did a pilot. I just want people to realize that. That's all. Just clarification.
No,
Thank you.
perfect. That's good for the residents and the folks watching. Okay, so I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Myself.
Opposed. So it's 4-1, the motion carries. Thank you very much. And out of respect to, so what we're going to do now is we're going to pause, and out of respect to the folks that are here, because now we're going to talk about the indoor and outdoor. What I'd like to do is please call upon, do we have, I'm going to, 7:15, I know we're a little bit past, but 7:15, liquor license transfer application, Crystal's General Store. Please come forward. Oh, you dropped something, sir.
Come on up.
So what I'd like to do, this is a public hearing. Do I have a motion
You
to?
can just bring another chair if you want.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
the
good.
office would have one.
I'll wait, I will make a motion to waive the public notice.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, please state your name and business for the record.
Okay, Mr. Chair and members of the board, Attorney Tom Truax from Salem, Massachusetts, on behalf of the proposed transferee. With me, next to my immediate left, is Mr. Mitchell Patel. He is the president and the 100% shareholder of the proposed transferee. He's also the proposed license manager. And we just asked, just as a courtesy, the current owner, Mr. Singh, is here if you have any questions for the current owner as well.
So let's talk about what's going to transpire. So changing whole licenses, you're selling the business, you're getting out of the business?
Transfer assets.
Okay,
It's a full transfer.
full transfer. So the store,
Yeah, it's not a stock transfer, this is asset purchase, not asset sale.
okay.
Purchase and sale agreement is pretty straightforward, it was included with the package. There's some financing is being provided by Mr. Singh. As for experience, since this application was filed in June, there was issues with the town in terms of the health department to get those sign-offs. It took about 3 months, so we made judicious time of that. We had Mr. Patel over at the store training on weekends. So he's had about 12 training sessions, 12 weekends of training sessions, and at least a month more to go with the ABCC waiting around. And also, in addition, Mr. Patel has worked at his cousin's store, which is Tewksbury Market here in Tewksbury, from 2008 to 2012. He helped out there. It was his first cousin's store. There is a card reader at the store. And in addition, as I do with all my clients, there is a training program, an in-person training program with the Mass Store Package Association. It's here in Tewksbury, one of the sessions, and it's on November 26th, and we're going to have him signed up for that. And we're glad to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, this one I'm going to go a little reverse. I'm going to pause before I open up to the board. Since the public hearing, would anyone, any of butters like to speak at this time? Okay, seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the public hearing is closed, and I know it took a while, and it took 400 pages of paperwork as well, so it was very thorough, but we have to ask the question. So at this point, let me open it up to the board for questions. Mr. Kratman?
Yeah, I know when we granted this, the store was open and it had the deli and the other portions and those things going on. Is that going to be, I know there's been some changes with the store. Is it going to be the complete store reopened, or is there going to be some changes in the store, or?
Yeah,
Same store.
same store, yeah. It's gonna be complete transfer.
with the
Okay.
deli.
Okay, no, I just noticed that it doesn't seem to have been active very,
No, I don't think they're running the deli right now.
yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
that's all they're doing right now.
Well, when I saw that part kind of closed down when I went through there, I was wondering if there was some plans or some changes, but,
Not enough customer that place there, so that's why we just start doing the catering there.
yeah,
And now this is actually reopening again.
okay. Well, that's good news. Okay, no, I have no questions other than that. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Ms. Turner?
I have no questions other than to thank you for the completeness of this application and to note, as you just mentioned, that all of the boards, community development, the Board of Health and the Building Department, and the Fire Department have have signed off on this. Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions from the board? Seeing none, what is the pleasure of the board? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the license transfer from, let's see, what is it? Liquor license transfer application, Crystal's General Store.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
One application.
Okay, and before we get back to Wamisit, we have a 7:20 appointment for Randos Corporation. Do we have anyone representing that party? All right, Mr. Montori, it is a public hearing. Do we need representation? I think it's straightforward, and just for the residents to know it, it is pretty straightforward, and we have pounds of paperwork with no issues otherwise from Board of Health and from all the department heads. Have anyone, no one present?
Yeah, there doesn't, it seems to be a straightforward transfer of the common victualling license.
Okay, so I believe there was a public hearing associated with this, if I'm not mistaken.
I didn't see an ad for it, I don't think it needed to be.
Just a procedure, even
Yeah,
better,
it's just
okay.
procedural.
All right, very good, then, and again, just for the residents in the audience, we read the packet, all the paperwork is in line. I did not have any questions, I was just gonna ask the same questions, are they gonna change anything, modify anything, those type of questions. So with that
Doesn't
being
appear to
said.
be.
What's that?
Doesn't appear to be any changes.
No, we're straightforward as they come, so what's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the victualler license application for Rendondo's Corporation DBA Villa Roma Pizza Common license transfer.
I'll second that.
I have a motion, a second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, last but not least, before we get back to Mr. McLaren, what I'd like to do, any residents would like to speak on any issue outside of the Wamisit, what we're just going to talk about? Please. And I'm only jumping the order just to be fair to the residents. I always say the taxpayers should speak first, so. And just name and address for the record, please.
How you doing? Robert Olivolo, 14 Nelson Ave. First, I'd like to thank the town for giving us one sign on Nelson Ave in regards to that fence. My question is, well, two questions. One, the sign just says 15 and it shows the curve, so it doesn't say miles per hour or anything. And then the second question is, can we get a sign now? That's a sign that's going down from 38 to Marshall, but we don't have a sign from Marshall to Nelson. So I want to know if there's anything that can be done about putting another sign over there and possibly adding the kids' signs, you know what I mean? But I have to say, it's been up for about a week, and I have noticed, the cars coming down Nelson from 38. They see that sign, it's nice, it's bright, and they are slowing down. But still coming up from around the corner, no, they're still barreling around. And DPW did drop off cones to put along the corner on the curve, on the outside. So I'm 14 and my neighbor's 16. So starting over by his driveway and going around, there's 6 cones to give them the illusion of there's construction going on to help, them slowing down when they're coming around both sides. But that sign is showing some signs of working. I know it's a short-term fix. I know when I spoke to his office the other day, that they're looking at possibly expanding the street and doing some more signs, but I just want to know if we can possibly get those signs out there, because I am seeing, something going on right now where they are slowing down, coming down from 38.
That's very good news, and I was on the audio last meeting,
Great, yeah.
not here in presence, and I know how serious it was, and we talked about it, Mr. Montori, we asked them to take, what can we do, because we have been working it, but, so Mr. Montori, I'll defer to you, but these seem very reasonable requests.
Yeah, I'll talk to the DPW tomorrow, see if we can get those signs up, and
Awesome.
if you have any other, thoughts, just give the office a call.
Awesome. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, thank you. Okay. Any other residents at this time? Okay, please.
Hello, my name's Bob Langlois at 15 Nelson Avenue. If you don't know where that is, I got a big yellow sign pointing at my house. It's right at the curve. But I just wanted to express something. Everybody said how dangerous this is. I want to tell you what I've actually seen there. I got pulled onto Nelson from Marshall in my truck right after the school bus. The kids were walking on the corner. Making the corner, the 3 taller kids on the right side, 3 littler kids on the left side following the fence. Now, in my truck, I can't see anything coming, coming the other way. All I envisioned was a car coming around, looking more towards the taller kids and not seeing the little kids. So I'm glad, we're working something out there. It is a dangerous intersection, corner, curve. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the concern.
Hello, my name is Nancy
Oh,
Sonia.
just,
I live on Newton Ave.
Just one more time for the record, I'm sorry.
Nancy Sonia. I understand that we had a special town meeting last week, and on one of the issues was senior housing that was voted down in the town. It was on the white pamphlet. I did not see that come up, that you were going to vote on that. Is there any way that we can get something put on a ballot for senior housing so the seniors can see it and vote for it?
Mr. Montori, I'll defer to you just for clarification.
Usually that's not something that will go on a ballot. That's usually a town meeting action, so it would have to go on a town meeting warrant.
So that would have to take a petitioner to state the particular article in question and get a subset. How many petitions is it? I think it's a very
It's
small.
100 for special and 10 for annual.
10 for annual, so that would have to come from a petitioner?
Yeah, and just specific on what we're looking for. I mean, is there a specific site we want senior housing? It needs to be more specific.
Okay, Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
please.
through you to the town manager, would you just maybe give a little bit of a summary of the warrant article that came up? It was not, in
Right.
general, senior
Senior
housing.
housing,
It was
it
one individual wanted to build a nursing home.
Right,
So just to
so-
be very clear about what was before the town.
Sure, it was a zoning change by a petitioner to rezone an area to allow for an Alzheimer's facility or a memory care or a head injury facility. He wasn't sure exactly what it was going to be. It could have been a combination, but that's really what he was looking for. It wasn't senior housing as we have at the Housing Authority or Elder Service has in town. Those are needed, no doubt, senior housing. It's just that wasn't that article.
Is there a way that you eventually will look into maybe more senior housing for the town?
This board has made it a priority. The local housing partnership has made it a priority. It's something we're always looking at. We're looking at it
And I can
all the
also
time.
tell you, I'm on the committee, we call it the reuse committee for the Trahan and North School, just because we voted for the elementary school. Right now, it's a blank canvas. It's a blank canvas. I don't want to say we're going to do A, B, and C, because we're going to go through that. But I can tell you, to Mr. Montori's point, senior housing and veteran housing is a high priority. So I'm quite certain that's going to be a big discussion for those properties. And again, I'm not saying it is, but that's going to be a big discussion, because even on veteran housing, it's almost a 2.5-year wait, give or take, to get someone for veteran housing in Tewksbury into affordable or senior housing. So we know there's a big, we're trying to take action. And I know Ms. Stronach is also on the local housing committee, and that's top of mind for that committee as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
I
Appreciate it.
just would like to note, I was going to say later on in my board report, but the local housing partnership is meeting tomorrow night at 7 PM, where we discuss the ability to do this. It is difficult to put forth a large project of that magnitude, but we are always looking into that as well as veteran housing. So,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other residents at this time? Okay, seeing none. So now what we're going to do is going to go back to Mr. McLaren. So now what we're going to talk about is the Wamisit Entertainment change request. First and foremost is a public hearing. Do we have a motion to waive the reading?
So moved,
I have a
Mr.
motion, do I
Chairman.
have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. So what we're going to do now is, we're going to split this, we're going to take potentially two votes. Number one, we're going to talk about the indoor license, and then what we're going to do is move to the outdoor license to simplify it, because I do believe they're two different entities. So what's your, Mr. McClellan, just state your business, or the request for change for the indoor entertainment license, please.
So, Wamisit Lanes, and what we are proposing is to get a new request on hours for entertainment indoors from Monday to Sunday, 8 a.m. to 1 a.m. Existing right now, it is Thursday to Sunday, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m.
All right, and just for the current hours, we're not going to talk about the planning board special permit hours. This is going to be the same deal, where if we do make a vote, we're going to have to say, subject to the planning board special permit, yea or nay next week. So currently, right now, your current hours for indoor, for your entertainment license, Monday not allowed, Tuesday not allowed, Wednesday not allowed, correct?
Correct.
Then we have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all for indoor is 12 p.m. to 12 a.m., correct?
Correct.
So those are the current hours. So the request is now, that's the current, now the request would be 8 a.m. to 1 a.m., Monday through Sunday.
Correct.
Okay. How about the actual current type of entertainment? Is there any deviation, what you currently have versus what you want to have?
No.
Okay. And just for the board, I did not see any deviation for what he's currently, for the current type of entertainment activities or applications that Mr. McLaren's currently using, that he's asking for something new, unless I missed something. And Mr. Montori, maybe you can just keep me honest there?
I didn't see any.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause before we talk to Mr. McLaren. At this time, for the indoor stuff, do we have any abutters that would like to talk about the indoor entertainment? Okay, seeing none, what I'd like to do is have a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So now let's open it up to the board for questions. Mr. Brian Dick.
You know, looking at consistencies and understanding the type of business that you run, I'm confused why you're not able to do the things that you're requesting on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, how that was set up, not being on the board back then, but I would support that for consistency, and I understand, and maybe you can walk me through a little bit of some of the programming that you would have on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, what you anticipate could happen. And I know you've given us a lot of information about camps and some things for the kids, and I think that that's what you're trying to.
Yeah, in all honesty, it was a little bit more of an oversight when we first got involved, building the building and all this stuff just coming all at once. I think we originally applied for it in 2014 and finally got through in 2015, then again in 2016. But to give you an idea of the different things that we do for the indoor entertainment, I can go through a list of doing piano show, DJ, musicians, acoustic musicians, using the microphone, live band. We got ladies' night that we do, luau, country line dancing, our speakers that just runs just music, dancing, a PA system. We've had Irish step dancers in there, hula hoop contest, limbo. We've had a movie night actually indoors as well. Disco lights and lights that go along all over the lanes. We're looking to increase that. Magician, juggler, wing eating contest, video gaming contests, cornhole, mechanical bull, inflatables, all that stuff.
So as an entertainment business, and you get a lot of requests for events, as we just talked about, you're looking to try to line that up to maybe that liquor license that we just talked about. Moving the hours from, I see that Thursday you have 12 PM. That seems restrictive, talking about some early programming.
Yeah, we were certainly restricted on what we actually went for, and I guess maybe not understanding what we actually did need, and now we're just trying to align that with what we're actually doing with the business now today. We'll be in business 4 years, it's come November, so.
Right. So that's additional revenue, additional position hired, different things to support the community. So I'm in favor of realigning that for support Tewksbury business.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Stronach?
Again, the packet was extremely thorough, and I really appreciate that. I do not have any issues with approving the indoor license as it has been requested for entertainment.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Crowley?
I remember I was on the board when we first issued this, when it first came in, and I think it was under abundance of caution, because we had just such a large building, and it's such new owners, and what the town was going to expect for such, walking through that place, it's a very large building of what you can and what you can do. And I think that was some of the considerations that we originally had on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, saying, you know, let's start this off small and see how it works. I haven't heard one issue with the indoor. I mean, I really haven't heard any complaints, any things. I mean, if you came to me a year ago asking me for changes, you know, since this has been going on, I would have agreed with it. But, you know, we moved through, we learned what you can do and what you can't do inside this location. And it seems the indoor works fabulous. It seemed to be that many complaints of what goes on. I know back then there was concerns about the traffic patterns and all the different things because of the size of the parking lot and what goes on, but I honestly don't see a line. It's not going to be Gillette Stadium at 8 o'clock in the morning for a Patriots game at your location. It's going to be, people are going to come in if you have a special event. Yes, you have an enormous parking lot, you have a large building, people get in and out and move in quickly, and then it doesn't take long for an event to happen. It hasn't caused any traffic jams out there of things going on, so I have absolutely no problems, and I'm glad that it seems like everything's working the way we had planned about back then. So, thank you.
Thanks.
Ms. Woolman?
Just a couple of quick things. Regarding the camps, this is more of a question for Mr. Montori, actually. Is, for something that involves youth camps, is that need a permission or permit from the Board of Health?
Yes.
So you would have to come back with the youth programming and do that whole thing separately? Okay.
It may need state approvals also, so.
Okay.
It can't, once you start using the word camp, it adds
That's
a whole
right.
other layer of permitting.
Maybe I
beyond
spoke
us.
out of turn on the camp piece. I don't know.
What was my question too? So, yeah, well, because the
I
camp
just
is used.
assumed it was early, young kids, you call it a camp.
Yeah, no, that was in the application, so
Yeah,
that's
no, it's
correct.
all through the application.
Gotcha.
And it's part of the justification for opening so early because parents need care, and that makes sense to me.
Can I just clarify, we're not hosting the camp, it's camp groups that come to us to provide the entertainment.
So an outside camp group
Yeah,
would come
so
to you?
like
Okay.
like the doing school comes with their kids and they drop them, and they have all the people there taking care of them, we're just providing them entertainment.
Important and
Yes.
key clarification, so I
Yes.
appreciate that. Thank you, that's really important. Okay, great, I appreciate that. Yeah, likewise, my colleagues, I haven't heard anything with morning events. Anything that would be under 21, accepting, young camp groups, but that you were hosting, I'd want to have that conversation with the town, or any exceptional events. And you've listed some here in this supplemental documentation that would, need a review by police or fire or something like that. So even indoors, if, I don't know what it would be, but yeah, I appreciate that sort of notification. Thank you.
Thanks.
Ms. Stronach?
No,
Did I already cover
She
you?
went already.
It's getting late. No, it's getting early. So my only thing, Mr. Montori, would be, I'm not going to just waste words, but I will say, I'm going to use bring it up as special events, because I know, Mr. McLaren, you can get very creative, and I think you used before, fire-breathing dragon. So my only question to Montori, and I have no issues with all of this, there's been no issues inside here. So could there be a special event? And this is why it's so broad. I know you can't define everything because you might come up with something next week. But if there is, I'm going to call it a special event, and maybe the special event is you need the chief of police to sign off, the DPW to sign off, or the fire to sign off. Like, can we label that as a special event indoor? I know it's like tough to put parameters around there, but that will kind of protect all, I guess. Does that make sense, Mr. Montori?
No, I think that makes sense. And based on the list that was provided, I mean, I'm guessing you don't think you'll go outside this list.
No.
So maybe anything outside the list that's been provided will be deemed a special event, and he should come to us.
Okay, fair enough. Can we document that? When we take a vote?
That work for you?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. And again, the more that you can be.
Just give us notice. He doesn't need to come for another permit. Just
Correct.
give us the 7 days' notice.
Yes.
Or 14 days' notice, I think we talked about. Was that better?
Yeah, we're going to talk, actually, that's another good thing I have in here. So let's, maybe we can make an amendment to this. You know, I'm going to make an amendment, but I'll share it with you based on, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but as far as timing, you know, a lot of times, hopefully you'll know when this stuff is coming down the pike, and as you know, we have to, you know the drill better than most. You have to do a series of events to come before the board, and it's a lot of paperwork from the abutters, again, to the fire chief. So my only ask is, whether it's affirmative or not affirmative, that you give us 14-day notice. And again, it's better for all parties involved. If you can give us 40 days notice, maybe something's right, maybe something not, you know, then we can talk and work through it before we get to this point. So I know I'm getting ahead of myself, so I'm going to pause there. I have no questions. So what is the pleasure of the board and again, what we're trying to indoor, applies to indoor only, and this, Mr. Montori, this would go through December 31st, 2020, where then the permit, then
2019.
2019, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the indoor entertainment license with the list of activities listed on the event for Wamisit Lanes from 8 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock 8 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Subject to planning.
Subject to approval of the special planning board special permit.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I have discussion.
Please.
Second for discussion.
Please.
I'm still a little confused on subject to the 14-day notice of special events. So that's just a notice that the Wamisit would have to notify the town.
Town manager's office, yeah.
If there's a special event, the appropriate approvals with the town level will go through, and there's no need to come before the board.
No, right.
Okay. On Mr. Kratman's motion, I was confused on,
Count for those things.
I think he said something about P,
Just said
about board.
Yeah, well, hopefully, I didn't confuse the matters.
All right, well, now I'm confused.
All right.
So just so we're clear, looking at this supporting documentation list, when you're saying events outside of this list for special events, you're not talking about like the touch-a-truck or the 5K. Those still require separate approval by the Board of Selectmen. Is that what you're saying?
My motion was to allow the things that are listed
Yeah.
on what's here, not anything that's not listed. So anything that's not listed on this, they would have to come for a special
14 day.
14-day or whatever it is. But just my motion is specific to what he put on his list for
For the
approval.
indoor license, okay, just so.
And just so we're completely on the same page, that would have to come before the board if it's a special event. So we have to notify 14 days before or earlier, and that would have to come to the board for a yea or a nay vote.
Yep.
Makes sense? Are we all on the same page?
Special events are the ones at the top, not the ones outside the parameters here.
Correct, to Mr.
So if there's,
Kravitz.
well, because I think that the initial discussion had been, if it's something sort of like a different kind of event, like a, I don't know what, you've got cornhole, you've got, Irish step dance, or something along those lines that's not this big crowd event, that could be approved by the town manager's office. if there's a 14 days notice. That was the discussion I was under
That's
the
what I
understanding.
was-
That's what you were saying
that's
too?
what I was
Okay.
wondering.
Okay, so it's clear.
Versus touch a truck, big event in the parking lot or something like that would require us to look at that again.
Indoor only, this is all indoor.
Right, first of all, it's indoor only, and if he comes, if Wamisit comes in with an event that really is pushing the envelope of this, we would say, come to the board.
Okay.
And that could happen. That's why 14, the more notice we get, the more we can adjust.
Thank you for being concise. Makes sense to the board?
Makes sense.
Okay, so I have a motion, I have a second for discussion. Any other further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. All right, thank you very much. All right, the last order of business, it was going to talk about the Wamisit Lanes Entertainment change request. Again, this is for the outdoors, so let's start that. So first and foremost, do I have a motion to waive the public?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So what we're going to do, same deal, Mr. McLaren, state your business. I'm going to pause. I'm going to open it up to any abutters. They can speak. I'll close the public hearing, and I'll bring it back to the board.
Okay. Again, Wamisit Lanes, I'm here to request a new request for entertainment license for our outdoor patio area, Monday to Sunday, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Our current hours right now are Thursday to Sunday, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. outdoors.
Okay, I just want to clarify, same exact things apply as the first two subjects, meaning the hours of operation are allowed, and you're going to go in front of the planning board, so that's my disclaimer before we go into that, so that stands. So your current hours, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, current hours outside, not allowed, not allowed, not allowed. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it's 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. So what you're asking for in the current entertainment license states Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, nothing is allowed. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, acoustic only. So, number one, you're asking for a change of hours, and again, across the board, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., Monday through Sunday, and you're also expanding the current type of entertainment venues, if you would. Okay. So, before we open up to the board, I'm going to just put it on pause, and at this point, I'd like to open it up for any abutters that would like to speak. Please. And you guys are all professionals, just name and address for the record, that's all.
Hello, my name is Chris Colantonio. I'm a part owner of Tewksbury Florist and Greenery, direct abutter of Wamisit Lanes. Basically, I've appeared before this board now. I think this is the fourth time on this issue. I've kind of detailed most of it out in the letter that I hope you all read, that I wrote earlier, showing the history of how things started as just an outdoor bocce court, and now we've turned into what we've turned into. One thing I do want you to think about is he describes it as Wamisit Lanes. It's a bowling alley. It's not, it's not an outdoor party place. It's not a concert place. It's not a dance club. That's what he's trying to turn it into. What he does inside the building does not bother us at all. I don't care about that. It's the outdoor stuff that affects the community, affects the business that we have right next door. And a lot of it comes down to the fact that he says things a lot and then he does what he wants. And one of the examples I wrote right in there was when you did the special permit in June, you basically said straight out, no outdoor concerts. Yet on on July 17th, you had an outdoor concert for Power Play. And then one of the board members came in and spoke to my sister about it, and the answer that she had gotten was, it was already planned. You know what? Even if it was already planned, it was specifically excluded from the permit. So this is the thing that really aggravates me is, even though things are in the permit, out the permit, like the original permit was for acoustic only. It was never acoustic only out there. There was always speakers out there. There was always entertainment. There was always loud music playing. And the reason why I am so against the outdoor entertainment is because I do not trust that it's going to be kept confined to what he's told by the board. And the only way really to ensure that it's the way it should be for the community and for the surrounding people is just to deny everything outside, plain and simple. If you want acoustic only, I could be fine with that. I mean, we'll deal with that and we'll just call the police when he's not acoustic. But other than that, it's all gotta be denied, in my opinion. And that's kind of what I asked. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Hi, Terry Ministeri, 6 Neptune Street. One thing I have a problem with is that we are now doing entertainment from 8 to 1. I understand it's a great business, he's done great. We moved into the neighborhood not having any music outside. It's bad enough I have to deal with the gentleman up the street when he's blaring his music, I don't even know what it is, and then I have to listen to Wamisett Lanes with their music. I can't even sit on my deck just to be quiet once in a while. In this past summer, I have to say that there wasn't a lot of entertainment that was going on as the previous year. But if you put a band on at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, I'm not sure where you live, but I live 3 streets over and I can still hear it in my house with my windows closed. You need to understand, we all work, just like you guys do. You guys are doing an amazing business, but you need to think of the rest of us who are 3 streets over from you, who can hear a band. And when I can hear that they're singing Happy Birthday, Julia, or Mark, or whatever, you need to understand we were there first. You're doing a great job. Keep doing what you're doing in there. But for the special permits, I have no problem with you going through the special permits. Once in a while, here and there. You want to have 2 events, maybe a month, but you need to look at the rest of us. At 8 a.m., I want to sleep in till 10. I don't want to hear a PA. You did the surround sound. That's great. But this past summer, there wasn't a lot going on. I'm not sure why that was. And I was home to hear things, but it wasn't that bad. But you want to put a band out there. You want to put the musical pianos again. That was the biggest one that I would hear. That they were singing Happy Birthday, it was the pianos and stuff. You need to respect the rest of us. We're respecting you and giving you the stuff that you want to. You need to respect us on the outside and keep it at a bare minimum. And also the business next door. It's just not them. They got the 99, you got Jay's that's there. You need to kind of look at it level for the rest of us. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
My name's Keith Pollack. I live at 31 Veranda Ave. I'd just like to read a statement if I could.
Please.
On 6/19, Wamisett Lanes was given an entertainment license that would end on 9/2, with certain restrictions that were to be followed and consequences if they were not. After 2.5 months, I feel that Wamisett Lanes has failed and that the outside patio entertainment should be stopped, except for the radio playing during food serving. Between 6/19 and 9/2, Wamisett Lanes had 4 so-called acoustic shows and 1 DJ show advertised. Of the 5 shows, there were 2 sound complaints made to the police, one on 8/19 and one on 7/19. There was also a complaint made to the town manager about a band playing on 7/19. I suggest if Wamisett Lane wants to hold any more outside events of any type, they should come to the board as special events with residents being notified. Residents are frustrated and their quality of life altered by the noise level that the outside patio entertainment has caused since 2018. The noise complaints and the fact that Wamisett Lanes had a band playing after they were told not to by the board makes me believe that any outside entertainment without approval by the board would be a mistake. I also like to mention on those occasions, the Friday the band was a power play. I was actually sitting in my living room watching TV and could hear the band playing, interrupting me. On 8/19, there was a complaint called, I actually called the complaint, a noise complaint was called and complained about loud singing. The singing was so loud you could actually identify the songs from 2 streets away. Examples, Hey Jude, Uptown Girl, and Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash. Not only that, but along with that, the crowd was cheering and singing along with them at the same time. On 8/15 Thursday, a noise complaint was called in, complaining about loud music. Wamisett Lanes was having an advertised luau night, The DJ was playing the music way too loud. So again, I agree with everybody that's come up that the outside entertainment is a serious problem, and it's a serious problem to the residents, and we'd appreciate if you do something about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any other residents at this time?
My name's Mike G, so I live at 28 Veranda Ave.
I'm sorry, one more time, please.
My name's Mike G, so I live at 28 Veranda Ave. Not to reiterate what Chris or Keith said, but the same thing, I'd like to make a recommendation to the board to suspend any and all outdoor licenses or special permitting until a comparable solution can be made with all of the abutters as a whole, because I work a rotating shift as well, and I can't sleep. I have I can't open my windows, my AC's blaring, everything. I can still hear the whole entire Walmus Headlands. I can see the building from my house. The noise travels, we all know that, and we tried to make a comparable, have a comparable solution with him earlier this year. I think it was June or July at Frank's landscaping place. But at 75 decibels, when we talked about, how are you gonna stop the noise? I can see the building from my house. It's too much. And like I said, I'd just like to ask you guys to please consider my recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other residents at this time? Abutters at this time? Okay, seeing none. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, at this point, let's open up to the board for further discussion. Do I need to pick on someone? How about Ms. Stronach?
I'd be happy to start. Thank you. So this is a very difficult decision for me to make as I sit up here on this board, because I have a business that I want to support, and then I have residents who I feel are entitled to some quality of life. And I have received over the summer many, many complaints from various residents in the surrounding area, and not just people who are direct abutters, but people who are when I think about who we have to notify, we're talking about abutters that are not necessarily within the 100 feet or the notice ramifications. So that's very much concerning to me. I do believe that there is a way for you all to use the outside in a manner that would be respectful to the neighbors, and that would be just in the acoustic sounds. Now, I know that that limits some of the items that you would like to have in your facility, and I understand that, but I think that as you grow your business, this was not an area that we anticipated this type of growth. And similar to the pumpkin drop, when you came before us to talk about the pumpkin drop, you are in the behind you, especially in dense residential area. I know that you face 38, but behind you does seat a lot of residents. So I am in favor of an acoustic only, and then coming before us for special events so that the residents can actually plan around those special events. I live next to the Ryan School. I abut that property, and quite often we have activities that take place early in the morning, softball, there's a lot of fields out there. So I do understand that sometimes on a Sunday morning, it is more irritating than others. Some Sundays, it doesn't bother me. Depending on my week, the noise level from something of that nature is sometimes annoying. It is difficult to have an area within your own home where you feel like you can't bring people out and participate in a family activity and having coffee with, your husband, just kind of relaxing. And I understand that, but I also understand the need to grow that area of your business. And I want to see you grow, but I do not believe it is in the best interest of the residents to grow this in that outdoor entertainment in an area that's going to be as impactful as it is currently to our residents. So That's
Yeah,
how I feel about it.
I can appreciate the feedback. So we did make adjustments, as you heard him say, that we sit down with the neighbors, propose the sound, the decibel level, which is even less than 75. It's actually 70 until 10, and then it's 65 after 10 until 7 a.m. We want to take the bylaws into consideration and stick to those bylaws as we conduct our entertainment. We've added 12 to 14 speakers outside to help control those sounds, to keep it at a lower level. So even with an acoustic version, I'm still tied into the amplified music, which allows me to control that music to all different levels. So anything that I do put outside, I would have control over to maintain at the decibel level that we're looking at. And throughout the entire summer, we've monitored those decibel levels every hour. And as you heard one of the residents state, that there was a reduction in the amount of events. We did take that into consideration, is to not hammer out all these things going outside. So we're looking to reduce that and just really maintain a little bit more consistency with our entertainment, but also with the sound levels that we have outside.
So I certainly can appreciate that, but what we're being presented with tonight is a full-blown license request from Monday through Sunday from 8 a.m. to 1 a.m. And I am not looking to be, and I'll use this term lightly, the entertainment police to say and bring people in every time. I mean, I realize that it's very difficult to you as a business owner to come before us for special events. And I do realize that oftentimes people come to you and say, hey, I have this great fundraiser event that I want to do next month. And sometimes those requests come at last minute. I know that that's what's coming before you, but it behooves you to say, I'm sorry, that's not enough time for us to request an event like that. And this is what I'm talking about is I am not in a position today for myself to say, yes, I'm going to full-blown 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., 7 days a week, and, say
I
that
just do
that's
want to
out
clarify
there.
that it's 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., not
I'm
till
sorry,
11 p.m. So
11 p.m. So I think that that's part of the issue for me. And I do appreciate that you do a lot of things in town, and I appreciate the work that goes on those outside events. And I think what is at the core here is trying to find a way to balance those two things. So for me, it's an acoustic only. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Ms. Miller, Ms. Wellman, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, outside. So one of the things that I think there's some contention on is the term acoustic versus amplified sound, because you have amplified acoustic, which I think the intention of this board, I was not here for that meeting, was not necessarily to have amplified acoustic sound. I missed some of that conversation. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
That is correct.
So that's part of the issue. And part of the issue is, I know that you've had DJs outside, and that's not acoustic. And then, and you've heard some of the residents talk about some of these other shows. With respect to a number of items that you've listed, like cornhole, Jenga, Connect Four, the large outdoor games that you have, movie nights, some of the, movie nights, you must have to have that
Yes, we do.
amplified sound, yeah. But for a number of these things, I don't have a particular issue with outdoor entertainment on them. I would expect that, I would think that would be fine, and I think that the license could be conditional. Some of these things are fine. I don't have a problem if somebody wants to play Connect Four outside until 11 o'clock at night, fine. On Monday, that's great. I don't think that's going to be very disturbing to anybody. And it's great. So I don't have an issue with that. Yoga. I'm going to take a yoga class outside there, I swear to God, at night. I would do that, or at 8 o'clock in the morning, actually. That's a great use, and I don't have an issue with that on Monday morning or Tuesday morning. I have no issue. It's to Mrs. Stronach's point, the loud noises at night. And so I would agree with her to the point where I don't think there should be amplified music at night, particularly on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday nights, outside, because of what we're hearing from the residents. That said, I liked what this gentleman, Mike G. on Veranda Ave, suggested, and for many of these events, this license will go through December 31st, 2019, is that correct? So there's some time to have a neighborhood meeting that's not on TV and have a conversation with the abutters, and we can have that conversation and kind of hammer this out to what Mike G's point is, to get more of what you're looking for in a way that makes good sense for the community in your area. And that can be done and to the decimal level that you're talking about, and where you can maybe do some testing on a weekend or something. It's a concern. I understand what it is to work third shift. I have family members that do that, and I know what it's like to have a lot of noise when you can't sleep. So I think that that's a concern that I would share. And I think that there's some time to do that and bring it back in December and you make more progress. But as it stands right now, with the amplified sound versus the terminology acoustic, I don't support that, particularly Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
So one of the.
Some of the uses, I would say, yes, completely fine, be open, be outside, just so that I'm clear.
I think to clarify, amplified music, everybody feels that it's somebody on a guitar or somebody playing an instrument, but amplified music is still defined as me having speakers outside for people that are sitting, eating dinner or breakfast or lunch. My understanding that you don't want me to have any of that outside on the patio while we're open, and I don't want to take that away. I can't take that away from my business to not be able to play the music for people that are sitting there eating their food. And I have put in quite a tremendous amount of effort.
You have, and let me just stop you right there. I don't have a problem with that use that you're describing. The concern that I have is for the louder, more disruptive uses that are affecting your neighbors. So the dueling piano thing, we've heard about that here, and I've gotten those calls. Some of those issues, and I've attended some of these events, and for me in that event, that's okay, but for the neighbors, that's the concern that I have. And I know that you've been keeping track of the decibel level. It doesn't seem to be working from what your neighbors are saying. And that's the use that I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think the disruptive level really needs to be determined, because under the bylaws, that's 65 decibels and 70 decibels. I feel like that's
Sure.
where we've been at, and it's hard to, that's it. The decibel levels are what the bylaws are, and I wanted to stick to that. And I put a lot of effort in with the neighbors to do the sound testing and say, okay, this is the level that we need it to be at, and that's what.
I've attended, yeah, I've been to that, yep.
And it's a tremendous amount of effort, and I don't know if we're gonna get there because of the amount of information that you guys have received on many accounts of different events, and not all of that stuff has been as accurate as I would have liked it to be portrayed, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. How about Mr. Brian Dick?
Just a couple comments. I know there was some reference to some police visits.
Yep.
I think you've been a good partner, I'd have to say that. I think you've been, in those two visits, I believe there wasn't any citations or anything like that were listed, correct?
Correct. The police had shown up at, I think it was 9:37 at night, said I was in violation of my entertainment license, that I had a band, which I did not. I was still under the decibel level. They had registered the decibel level at about 54 at the street, about 68 on our property, which still was completely under it. So that's what we're doing our part to try to do that. And even out of respect, getting that notification from the police department, I still turned it down. Out of respect of that incident specifically.
So I appreciate that. I do know the power play ban, that was a no-no, and that was something that shouldn't happen, that did. So I do acknowledge that. Outside, it hasn't happened since, right?
Correct. We were testing the drums and the percussions on the decibel levels to see if we could actually hit that to even to be able to reapproach something like that.
So I do understand that the license that we set forth in the summertime, I think you were a good partner in that. I don't think, you did stay under the bylaw decimals as well as, address the 2 visits by the police. So I just want to say that. I know there's been petitions I've read. I've also read letters, and I appreciate the butters coming out tonight to discuss their concerns. So I do think this is real aggressive, the current type of entertainment being requested from 8 to 11 every day of the week. And as Mrs. Miller mentioned, the cornhole, the Jenga, the Connect Four, great stuff, yoga, right? But when we start getting into dueling pianos, DJ, acoustic, microphone, live band, I think it needs to be limited. So what I would be in favor of, as Mrs. Stronach said, is the acoustics. I still am very confused. I know everybody's got their own definition of acoustic, but Mr. Chair, I'm still confused on acoustic. I don't see how you could have acoustic music and not have a microphone that you can't control. So that's just my thought. Like, I don't envision acoustic music. I've been to many bars and places. There's usually a microphone. It's controlled. There's speakers, back speakers, all that stuff. So it is a controllable sound system. So it's amplified in my version of acoustic music.
And our patio is designed to spread that sound out evenly. We have a 5,000 square foot patio, so it's hard for me to have an acoustic guitarist at the front and be able to let all these patrons be able to hear that volume.
Sure. So I support the acoustic. The amplified sound, I'd support that on a Friday and Saturday. I think there'd be some time limits, Mr. Chair, around that, like 8 a.m. is just really early for something like that. And I think you're trying to capture, Mr. Claren, everything, whether it's a microphone for a camp coming in from the doing school to make announcements and things like that. I think that is kind of early, that 8 a.m. I know there's cornholes. I've attended some of those. I understand how they work. So I think there needs to be some limitations around that. But when it comes to the live music, I think crowds, I think you do a great job promoting, and I think you'd bring in a whole lot of people, and it'd be real loud. And so I'm not opposed to live music, but I think it needs to be in that special permit category. If you wanted to bring back power play on a Saturday night, I think we need to have some type of notice so the butters do understand that there's going to be an event and they can weigh in. But I would support a live band because we do it for other establishments in Tewksbury. Plenty of establishments up the street that do it around residential houses. So I would support the acoustic music at some level, some time frame, amplified sound. I understand that's important on Friday and Saturday nights. I do also understand the importance of you have music out there now, which is radio, right? Some music that's played, and I know Mr. Colantonian said he'd supported acoustic, unless you want to clarify. You did mention that you'd support acoustic.
To me, acoustic is no amplification at all. A guy with a guitar and that's it.
Well, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, I should have went through.
No, that's fine. That's fair enough. That's fine.
And then so that's your interpretation of acoustic. Mine's a little different. And then the radio, you were going to make a comment on that? The radio play out there, you do that now, right?
Yeah, we're able to play.
While you're eating and appetizers or whatever?
Exactly, yeah, we can just listen to the music.
So, I'm in favor of that, which I think you do anyway, but it doesn't appear to be allowed.
Right.
Technically, right? Mm-hmm. So there's some of that I'd be in favor of. So the live bands is just real aggressive.
And that's what the problem.
I do see the importance of having on a summer night, having some outside entertainment. It does help business in Tewksbury, and I'm in favor of helping businesses in Tewksbury, as well as supporting all the residents. So I'd give in a little bit on that.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
All right, that's what my comments are, Mr. Chair.
Very good. How about Mr. Mark Kratman?
I think this really comes down to common sense. This really comes down to what can you do and what can't you do and work within reason and make everybody happy. I think there's some way around this, that there should be some common sense. I'm not in favor of PA systems. Just on 8 o'clock in the morning, I understand. I mean, when we talk about amplified music, we've had a number of other people come in here. So when we opened up, say like MVP, they came in, they had amplified music. The residents were all concerned about the noise that may come out there because they have actually speakers that go around when you're playing miniature golf. I haven't heard one person come and tell me they can even hear them. You know, I think if you're standing over the thing, so there's a limit of, it's difficult to say amplified music and what limit it is. So, okay, they have amplified music when they're doing miniature golf, but you can't hear it from the parking lot. You can't hear, I mean, unless you happen to be on that hole or where you're sitting. So amplified music, if I'm sitting at a table and you're playing Frank Sinatra and I'm sitting there having a nice dinner, relaxing, and nobody can hear it 20 feet away from me, I'm fine with that. I don't want to hear somebody on a PA system saying, get to your cornhole boards at 8 o'clock in the morning. I wouldn't want to hear it. I don't think anybody else would want to hear it. I understand people need I deal with it right now. And it's just, we have car washes that happen in town. And believe me, they have all the kids out there, and they'll be out at Bedros, there'll be an MVP, they'll be out there, and they got the PAs, and they're all blasting, and I want to be sleeping at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and I hear the kids out there screaming, and I'm like, all right, I can put it up for the weekend, you know, because the kids are making money for their sports club, or whatever it may be. I just close that window a little bit tighter and put the pillow over my head while I do it, but I understand that the residents don't want to do that all year long. So everything has to be within reason, and I understand you're staying below the bylaws, and the residents voted on the bylaws that to get approved in this community. So, I mean, this comes to town meeting when we're putting those type of things. When we approve the bylaws, they go through the community and the residents, the whole town gets to come to town meeting and talk about those different things. So that's where those came from, and that's where we're talking about. But also, we have to have some, you know, some sort of reasoning of what we're having out there. I've said from the get-go, you have to prove to me you can do a live band. When you came before us and you said you wanted to have a live band out there, I said, could you do it? You said to me, I'm not even sure. I remember that conversation clearly. If you want to have a live band out there, I think you need to prove to myself, the rest of the board, and everybody in this community that you can actually stay below those limits and do it. So anything that's for a live band that's going to be out there, I think you should come for a special permit, see how it works, much in the way we did during the summertime. See how those things work and work to the agreement of everybody. I do not want to, you know, cause anybody's life any problems by helping a business. You know, I want to see a business flourish. I know you create jobs. I know you do great things for the community, support local teams, but also you got to take into consideration the residents that live around you. So I don't know if there's other things that can be done. I don't know if there's something that can be done with maybe putting like a sound fence a little bit higher and asking for a special permit or doing those type of things. We did have conversations when we were talking about a gun range that came in the community. And maybe those people could work out doing putting some sort of soundproof things around certain areas where it may hit one neighborhood or another, where those things are going. If there can be some improvements made, that maybe they can keep that sound inside. So there's always room for improvements of what you're doing. I applaud you for trying to keep it underneath that. I know we had the police go down there. We haven't got one thing where you were in violation of that. So it's kind of hard for me to say you can't do something when the town voted, this is what you can do, and for me to say you can't do what the town told you can do. So we're fighting with that, but there also has to be some sort of reason to what you're doing. But I'll listen to the rest of the board and what they agree on, but there's a couple of things in here where I just don't think, I think it's out of reason. I think a PA system at 8 o'clock in the morning for a cornhole tournament or things like that, I think it's easy enough for somebody to go walking around and tell everybody, go talk to you, get on your cornhole boards. I don't think somebody needs to be yelling on a microphone to do it.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. So it's not necessarily that at 8 AM we're going to be turning that stuff on. It's just kind of the way that the application is set up. I do see us turning the speakers on outside that's playing music while these guys are signing in and setting up. But just kind of visualize something that happened at Murph's Fun Day this past summer, where we've got one of the grandmothers that speaks to the group, thanking everybody to come out. That's something that I'm looking to use as a PA system. When they're announcing raffle tickets or they're just saying thank you to their group, it's hard for everybody to be able to speak the volume when you've got 80 to 100 people outside, which again is why we added the speakers to level out the sound correctly so nobody's yelling, and somebody that can't talk very loud doesn't have the issues to do that. So I know the PA just kind of gives a different vibe, but it's not. We're not looking to just make all these announcements that way. We do have the sound to be able to control those levels. And with the live music, I think that's what's probably getting on people's mind of just, we got this big crazy thing going on outside, the guys and the drummers. I'm not opposed to, because I'm not confident, as you said, that we can keep those under the decibel levels. I'm perfectly fine with taking percussions away from this entirely, 100%, and just sticking with what I think is amplified, two guys on a guitar, a guy on a guitar or a piano or stuff like that. But I'm not looking to do this big crazy, no offense to TJ Callahan's, but they got a great thing going on and they got a lot of big bands. I don't want to be that. That's not what we're looking to try to do. So I think maybe hopefully that can put some people at ease that would be willing to do that.
I don't think anybody would have a problem with you doing that indoors. And that's where, when you get, that's where I'm saying the common sense has to come into place. You get something, you think it's gonna push that level, you got a very big building, bring it inside.
Yeah.
And so, and that's where we're working. Nobody seems to be complaining with what's going on inside. If it's to that limit, let's get it out of the parking lot and let's bring it indoors. If it's something that, you got a band that's going on and it's a Thursday night and you got something going on till 6 o'clock at night, well, if you want to continue that going on, okay, you take a break for an hour and shut them down at 6 and bring them in the building for the rest of the night.
It's probably one of the biggest mistakes.
That's something that could be done easily.
Yes, it's probably one of the biggest mistakes that we made in the building as we built it out. We got this huge facility, but we don't have the correct space to have that entertainment. So if we keep bringing it in, it does hurt our business, and in turn, I don't want to be able to take away with what we're trying to build there as well. So I'm certainly looking for that flexibility to still be able to entertain outside, as we do have a 5,000 square foot patio. We put it on our highway sign. We promote it. We got a great space out there, and we want to attract people to that and stay relevant.
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, I'm trying to scratch out what was already said, so I know it's getting late, but, so I'll just start in a couple different places. So this is why we're elected, to make decisions. Residents elect us to make decisions on behalf of residents and businesses, so this is a classic example. And I do believe for this, the compromise has to be somewhere in the middle. So what you're asking for now is like the Spider-Man net, everything. You know, it's everything, and clearly you can see the compromise has to be somewhere in the middle. And that's why we have these meetings to sort that out. So I think the net is too big right now. But I also believe, you know, there's a middle ground, there's a fairness. You know, with all due respect, it's zoned commercially, but residents live there. Like many places in Tewksbury, we have kind of funky zoning where you have that blended mix, so we try to be sensitive. We just can't say it's commercial space. However, as a business owner, you have a point there. You also have a point with 70 decibels from 7 to 10 p.m., and then drops down to 65 decibels after 10 p.m., correct?
Correct.
And to Mr. Colantonio's point, you were playing soft Elvis when we visited, and you can hear when the radio's up 20 decibels, you can absolutely hear it, you know, in their business and residents' business. So we get that, you know, based on wind and all these dynamics. So there's got to be a happy medium, a compromise somewhere, and that's why we're having these discussions. I don't think we're there just yet. But when I look at these things tonight, acoustic, cornhole. I know how many things you do for cornhole, for the community, to raise a bunch of money. It's unbelievable what you do there. And I look at that saying, why can't we maybe take the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things this evening, just a recommendation to the board, vote on those as special, and then come back to the drawing board for some of these bigger issues like live music or theatrical exhibitions. What does that mean? You know, I'm not even sure what that means. So I think there's a happy compromise to work this out. The residents and the business owners have stated their business. You've stated yours, and I think it's up to us as a board to find that happy compromise. So that's and again, I don't want to waste any words here. And another thing too is, sometimes we get the representation just for the residents and the business owners that we're not business friendly. I don't think we put handcuffs on business, because times can get tough with businesses, and God only knows we see enough abandoned buildings and businesses in Tewksbury, and then that kills us because then they're not paying taxes. So you do a lot of great things. You employ a ton of residents, kids alike, and I know what you and your dad give back to the community in charitable events and donations. So I want to take nothing that away, but again, our job is to find that happy medium tonight. I'm not sure we're going to get it all the way, but I would hope we can define 1, 2, 3, 4 things that we may agree on and put those on the table, coupled with the hours of operation, and away we go. So, with that being said, what is the pleasure of the board? Do we have any ideas how we find that happy medium? What Mr. McLaren is asking for, what we will grant him today, and then coupled with the hours that he's asking for, coupled with the hours he has today. If that makes sense. I know it's confusing.
Well, I guess I still have some questions about acoustic and amplified sound.
Let's talk through that. So for instance, we say acoustic only, but then we're talking about you got to plug in an amplifier so you can spread it, for that length of the outside patio. So technically, that's amplification, right? It says amplification system. So, Mr. Montori, I don't know if you have the answers or not.
Well, I mean, acoustic generally is limited to string instruments, first of all. It's not piano. And there would be a microphone with some type of speaker. But that's about the extent of it. The guitar wouldn't be plugged into an amplifier. The only sound would be on a speaker would be the person singing, I would think. And it's, again, limited to string. So the pianos wouldn't fall under what I think a definition of acoustic would be.
I just think of acoustic, and again, just all discussion here, we're not taking any votes, but for me, amplification is you plug something in, you can set it, just like your radio. You could set it to volume 10 as an example. And then I go back to the bylaws, the 70 decibels and 65 decibels. So for me, amplification, if allowed, you can set it. For a live band, I don't see how you can set it, to be honest with you. You at the end of the song, you get a little bit louder, but I'm no audio expert. But I think you can always set those amplification devices. Do you typically set those when you plug them in?
If we plug into our system, we can control every sound. The hardest one to control is percussion, which is why I'd be willing to remove that from that setup.
So when you beat on a drum, it's just going out there.
It's just hard to control. We don't even need to talk about percussion, but everything else I can control that sound because I've added the sound system that we have outside.
You can control the sound, but then it can go hit that thresholds, and then hence the residents and business owner are impacted.
And we reduce the tested sound with the musicians 10 decibels lower than what it actually needs to be set at our property line, because the microphone brings in another 8 decibels. So we take that stuff into consideration.
Yep, we all got that. All right, so I don't know if that helps the board at all with their decision-making or thought process here.
Well, I could try to make a motion if you want.
Let's do it. Mr. Brian Dick.
So, without making the motion, the live bands, I'm gonna leave out of this as more of a special event. So I think St. Patrick's Day or something like that, that's what I think, or a Saturday. Where you feel the need, you gotta have one. Maybe it's a celebration for MERS Fund Run or something like that, you need to do that.
So let's do that. I'm fine. Let's just take live band out completely, and then we'll work on acoustic, being able to just plug those machines.
And with this motion, I understand that you're already doing bocce and you're doing radio, and there's things that you're doing out there at this time. So my motion would be from Monday through Sunday, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m., amplified acoustic radio, cornhole, Jenga, Connect Four, ladder, golf, mini golf, bocce, and exercise.
Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, one more, let's take that slow. Just, and again, this is just for the board, so no, let's try to keep just a discussion at the board level only. Perfect. So what's,
Struggle with is acoustic versus amplified sound. I'm really struggling with that. So my motion is because there's no current hours allowed on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which I think business struggles with having. So I'm in favor of, I understand Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, those hours. I would like to apply those hours 7 days a week. So my motion would be Monday through Sunday, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. I'm in favor of an amplifier with an amplification system, I guess. Acoustic, radio, cornhole, Jenga, Connect Four, ladder golf, mini golf, bocce, exercise, and Mrs. Miller's yoga class.
Yoga's not on here.
Oh,
It's the exercise.
so I'll take away the yoga.
No, that's okay.
So that's a start. I'm open to modifications of that. That does remove the live music. And I guess we're discussing this.
Okay.
And the bylaws apply and all that stuff.
Second for discussion.
just 2 seconds. Melissa, did you get all that?
I did.
Okay, very good. Melissa's good. Melissa's the best in the business. All right, second for discussion.
All right, so 12 PM to 12 AM for amplified, when you say amplified sound.
It's
you're
amplified
referring to-
speakers.
Well, yeah, sure, but it's referring to acoustic performances and radio, like you're, walking around music, whatever it is, sure. And you didn't say, but I think you also mean microphone. That's listed here separately, but I think you also mean microphone, so that there's announcements during, is that
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
Okay, and then everything else, I'm sorry, you're gonna, excuse me, I'm just seconding for discussion, if you'd like to speak through the chair.
We're good.
Okay, and so you're intending that there could be an acoustic act on a Tuesday night performing till 12 o'clock outside on a patio?
Yes. Whatever that definition of acoustic is.
Well, so that's the problem, because what, the definition of acoustic that you have proposed is amplified sound. So you're plugging into an amplification system, then you have a very nice amplification system. So that's what you're proposing. I don't support that, because I don't think we should be having that outside of, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's already allowed on Sunday for an entertainment license outside. And, excuse me, it's acoustic only outside, and I think that that's problematic. But I everything up until that, I would agree with. Cornhole, Jenga, Connect Four, ladder golf, mini golf, bocce, exercise classes. Those items I don't have an issue with outside during those hours.
So I'm gonna just clarification here, because I'm sure, so we talked about 3 things here that I think you're omitting: amplification and microphone and radio. How do you feel on those 3?
Radio, I think, is fine for the purposes that you're talking about, but not like a DJ that's doing like an event on like a Tuesday night. So those hours, 12 PM to 12 AM, and those uses.
How about a microphone?
For announcements, yes. I would add, this is not up for discussion because this is a different motion, but if we were to make a separate motion, to allow acoustic use on your amplified system with the decibel parameters already discussed, and a microphone, accepting live bands. So that would allow some of these other items on Fridays and Saturdays. So ladies, or Thursday, Fridays, ladies' night, luau, and so forth, with the dropping down. That would be a separate motion. Do you see what I'm talking about?
Nope,
Okay.
sorry. Not to be rude, now I'm confused. Because there was a motion, and I guess the motion is being changed, which is,
No, I said
Just
it would be
second it for
separate,
discussion.
yeah.
okay.
We're just
So-
talking it
So at this point, any other discussion on Mr. Brian Dick's motion? So we have a motion in front of us with no, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed, so 3-2. So, is there another motion? And again, I think, Mr. Brian Dick, thanks for having leadership and courage here to at least get a motion on the table. I think we can go from there now.
Sure.
So,
That's all we're trying to do.
yeah, perfect. Is there any other motions on the table? I'm the chair, I can put a motion on the table, it's atypical, but I'd like to, if you all don't mind, I'd like to make a motion.
Go for it.
So, we talked about the hours of operation. I think the request was for 8 AM to 11 PM. Mr. Brian Dick's motion was 12 to 12. So first, let's just, for the pure hour's sake, I'd like to just take the requested hours, which would be from, how about this, 12 AM to 11 PM. So essentially, Mr. Dick, you had a motion from 12 to 12. I'm going to say 12 to 11. So that would be the hours of operation. Now, as far as the
12 PM.
12 PM to 11 PM, Monday through Sunday. Make it easy. Now, as far as the applications, acoustic with amplification, I do believe the amplification can be controlled. Microphone, radio, cornhole, and I missed the rest of those. And Melissa, do you have some of those as?
The Jenga. Exercise is what you're missing.
Okay, so the point, I guess, it's probably easier to talk about what I would not permit right now is live music. However, I think there's room for live music potentially, let's say maybe on a Friday or Saturday. So again, my hope was to come away with 1 to 5 things. Seems like we're a little bit past that number of 5, but to come back in, because I do believe, this is only me speaking, not the board, that there is room for potentially live music, let's say on a Friday or Saturday. That's just my opinion only. But again, if we can have at least a baseline of a number of things, which seem we might get there, that's my thought process. So, so that would be, I don't think I'm missing anything or adding anything. Not distracting anything from what Mr. Dick had the motion outside of the hours, I believe. Does that keep me honest? Okay. So with that being said, that's a motion. Do I have a second for discussion?
I'll second it.
I have a motion, a second. Any discussion,
I just have a question.
please?
Your motion is 8 AM to 11 PM, Monday through Saturday?
No, my motion would be from 12
Okay,
PM
thank
to
you.
11 PM.
Got it.
So just
Monday through Saturday.
Monday through Sunday.
Monday through Sunday.
Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week. But question, Mr. Torres, as we talk through this, we have to. So if that goes through, I don't know if it's going to go through or not, we're going to have that motion and we'll see if it carries or doesn't carry. But if there was any other event, as an example, for let's say 8 AM cornhole, Mr. McLaren would have to come in front of us because that deviates from the license?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to deviate, I have a motion, a second. My only point now, thinking through this, if we limit it to those uses, I guess I would not have a problem saying 8 AM to 11 AM. And again, I'm really thinking about the cornhole events. I should just use, but that's a real-time example of you have them all the time, and I just, don't have my big thing is the live music. I don't think you can control it, tough to control, but I get that happy compromise, so
I have a question.
please.
Under your motion, would a luau type event or a dueling piano show happen on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday night?
No, it's not specified, no.
Will you have it as amplified acoustic music? So I'm just being clear.
So, okay, 2 points. Amplified acoustic music. If you have someone playing a guitar, you plug something in. That's my definition of acoustic amplification. Does that make sense? Not pianos and plug it in.
So would you accept that use?
Acoustic is not the guitar being plugged in, it's the person singing. They're speaking into a microphone.
Right, but you're gonna hear the guitar, right,
But they don't plug the they don't, an acoustic, the difference between acoustic guitar and an amplified guitar is they plug the guitar right into the amplification. An acoustic, they don't.
Ms. Stronach, now we're getting technical. No, I'm just kidding. I mean,
I believe that's correct, isn't it? I don't know. That's my idea of what acoustic guitar is.
Yeah,
They don't plug in the guitar. I
Right.
don't know.
that's my understanding. The guitar, the instrument doesn't get plugged in.
Correct.
There's no electronic instrument.
right, so if you plug the microphone in, you got a guitar a little bit from them, you're
Right,
gonna hear
exactly.
both.
You can hear the guitar through the,
Under the provisions of the motion, the chairman has made a motion for amplified sound. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So let me put the motion back on the table. So I'm going to make a motion for the hours of operation would be from 8 AM to 11 PM. Okay.
I thought your motion was.
Okay, that was, so let's,
12 to-
okay, we'll have to, let's see if that motion
Sorry.
passes or we have an amendment. So I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion?
I would like to, I second with discussion. I like your idea of having the other things that are like 12 PM to 11 PM, but I would like to hear some adjustment to things that are like cornhole, magician, juggler, wing eating contest, video gaming, hula hooping, all those other things that aren't, anything that isn't amplified, that those hours be allowed from 8 AM to 11 PM, that is listed on this list, and the things that, as you discussed, the other uses from 12 PM to 11 PM. So this way, that would cover the cornhole, that would cover the jugglers, that would cover wing eating, the things that don't make noise, the Jenga, those type of hula hoop contests, Irish step dances, those type of things that would be on there. I think that I would offer amendment that those be allowed at 8 AM to 11 PM, anything that's not amplified, and then I would agree with your thing from 12 PM to 11 AM, 11 PM for the other uses.
Okay, it makes sense. So the amendment would read essentially, no amplification for any application from 8 to 11, and an amplification,
From 8 AM to 12 PM. I'm sorry, yeah, from 8 to 12. All uses, like, we're approving uses from 12 PM to 11 PM on the other uses, but anything that's cornhole, inflatables, magician, juggler, all those type of things that don't need any amplification, a cornhole tournament, those type of things, that those should be allowed under the entertainment license for outdoors.
I would just include radio in that, just so we can play the speakers
Yeah.
on the wall.
all right, Mr. Kratman, take it from the top. So what's the amendment, just so we're all on the same page?
My amendment would be to allow the non-amplified, other than radio, or that they usually play, the simple radio or whatever it may, the acoustics, the simple acoustics that pertains just to like a table or to keep the music there, from 8 AM to 11 PM. And then the other uses, as you noted, for the amplified and other uses from 12 PM to 11 PM. That would be my amendment to use those type of uses.
Melissa, did you catch that?
Bless you.
Yes.
Okay. Should we read it back for the board? Are you guys, do you understand the amendment Mr. Kratman put forth? I accept the amendment. Okay, now, any further discussion on the amendment,
I do.
please?
I just want to be clear of what I am voting for, so if you don't mind, I'd like to restate it,
Please.
and
Let's see, Melissa.
feel free to make sure the amendment that what we're going to be voting on is Monday through Sunday, 8 AM. Is it to 11 AM or to noon? What was that?
It's 8 AM to 11 PM, so it's the full length of those hours.
Okay.
For the things that you can read off the.
So, okay, but from 8 AM to 11 PM for no amplification with the exception of radio, for cornhole, Connect 4, bocce, exercise, and I think that's covers that part.
We got magician, juggler, video gaming.
Magician,
Yep. Step dances.
juggler,
Hula hoop
hold
contest.
on.
The things that wouldn't be making noise out there.
Non-amplified events.
Pretty much, yeah.
Non-amplified,
That's what
okay.
it really comes down to. It's
Thank
nothing
you.
that's non-amplified.
And then, the second part of your motion, is it 11 a.m. or 12 p.m.?
12 p.m. to
From
11
12
a.m.
p.m. to 11 p.m.,
To 11 p.m., yeah.
amplified acoustics, is that what you're basically saying?
Yep, it's all the different things that is pertained under, the only thing that's restricting is the live bands, the dueling pianos, the other things that are the ones that we struck out of.
I think we should be specific to this list of
Live,
use.
yep, live bands, dueling pianos,
Yep.
Is that it?
And DJ, sorry, DJ would be on there also.
What about ladies' night or the luau?
That would be our DJ.
That would be the DJ. That
So
would be on
live bands, dueling pianos, and DJs would be excluded from the
there. They would
amplified
need to
music.
come in for a special permit.
But we could come in for.
Yeah, you can come in for a
Yeah,
specific
that's,
permit for those.
anybody can come in for a special permit anytime.
Okay.
Okay, I understand the, did I capture that correctly?
I think so.
Melissa, I'm going to put you on a spot. Would you be as bold? We have to get on the same page because it's going to get documented based on our vote. So can we just maybe read the motion and then read the amendment, please? So we're all on the same page.
So your original motion was for the 12 PM to 11 PM, Monday through Sunday, acoustics with amplified microphone, radio, cornhole, Jenga, Connect Four, ladder golf, mini golf, no live music.
No live music, very good.
Mark amended to no amplifications other than radio, no amplified music from 8 AM to 11 PM other than radio, cornhole, Connect Four, bocce, exercise, magician, juggler, step dances, and I may have missed a couple in the list on that one. No live music. And then from 12 PM to 11 PM, amplified acoustics, DJs, no DJs, live bands, dueling pianos require a special permit.
I'm on the same page. How about the rest of the board?
I have a question. So I just don't, it seems like we're crisscrossing from 8 AM to 11 PM on the non-amplified, right?
Correct.
But then we're saying there is amplified acoustic music from 12 to 11 PM. So it's like an overlap type thing, right?
For me, it was no acoustic from 8 to essentially 12.
8 to 12 PM?
No, I'm sorry, no amplification. I'm going to use the word amplification. So no, pretty much you can have amplification after 12 o'clock for the specified applications. Outside of that, no amplification pretty much before 12 PM.
They can have radio, they can have.
That's not amplification.
No, I know that, but I'm just trying to clarify.
Okay.
I'm just trying to clarify.
And to beat up one more time,
Yeah.
what is the board's interpretation of amplified acoustic? Is it a microphone, plugging a guitar into an amplification system that blows out music, that bellows the music out?
What we've talked about.
Right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand that.
Yeah.
And it's going to be within the decimal levels.
That goes with, the bylaws of bylaw, goes
Okay.
without saying, so, yeah.
I'm all set too.
Okay, well, I want to thank the board. I mean, this is not easy. We're not, and we reached out to other towns and communities such as Boston and Saugus where they have these type of entertainment places, and it's not easy. Anyway, so we have a motion. Ms. Stronach.
Sorry, one last thing, and again, to the points that were made earlier, I would like to encourage you and your neighbors to continue the discussion as permits it, no matter what gets put forward. So I know that, I just want to say that out loud.
All right. So we have a motion, we had a second, we have an amendment Do I have a motion on the amendment? Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Kratman's amendment, I have a second. Any further discussion from the board? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and thank you for the residents of the business owner to come out. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I voted against.
Jane voted against that.
Oh,
That was-
okay, that was 4-1. I'm sorry. Thank you for the record. Thank you.
And this is to December 31st.
And I'm going to go one step further. It's subject to the planning, I think we covered that for the original subject to the planning board.
Yeah,
special
we did.
permit. We covered that. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
We got
Thank you
one
very
more.
much.
We got one more to do, too.
Oh, yeah, let's jump right to that. So I'm gonna keep you up here. Under new business, we have Wamisit Lanes Entertainment Veterans Day Football 5K race request. So I want to just describe what that's all about?
Yeah, so we've got a Veterans Day race, takes place at the high school. Veterans get to run for free, do the loop that's been approved by the town, then everybody shuttles back over to Wamisit, and that's when we launch our brunch to that party. Everything's indoors, too. That'll be November 10th.
Yep.
November 10th, correct.
Race starts at 9.
Okay. And I believe for the board, all the paperwork was in line. Correct? Yeah, we had the map and all the sign-off, the necessary sign-offs, Mr. Montori, I do believe.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Okay, what is the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion to approve the 5K race as presented and signed off by our public safety officials.
Second.
Motion a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Mr. Chair, before Mr. McLaren leaves,
Please.
is there any way we can get for the board, and I know it's going to be in the minutes, but is there a way we could summarize what we just did? So it's on paper that, and Mr. McLaren gets a copy of that.
Great idea.
With his staff. And I don't know if it's signed by the board or whatever it is. I don't think it has to be, but I'd like to make sure that we're all on the same page, which I know we tend to be all on the same page, but I'd like to summarize that and get that to you this week.
I appreciate that.
That'd be great.
That'd be very
Is that
helpful.
Yeah,
something we
and,
can do, Mr. Chair?
yeah, and typically what we do is, I mean, Melissa's doing everything on the fly, we record it, she'll go back, to make sure we're accurate, they'll be socialized through Mr. Montori and the board, and then we'll send it off, but because this was a little bit confusing, so that's tip.
You guys did good. That was good.
Thank you to all.
Mr. Chairman, what I'll do is, if Melissa gets me the information similar to the
gonna be on the
probationary period, so to speak, that you did, I sent a cover letter to Mr. McLaren with everything, so I'll do the same thing. The board will see it before it goes out to make sure I didn't miss anything.
All right, very good. All right, thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, let's jump to new business here. So we have the Whipple Road Grant of Easement, National Grid. And Mr. Montori, keep me honest here, but I believe this is for our regional dispatch center. So this is for us and for the town.
Correct. This is, town meeting voted to authorize the Board of Selectmen to grant an easement to National Grid to provide electricity to the Regional Emergency Communications Center. I just need the board to vote to approve the easement and sign a document tonight that I can send to National Grid.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the easement as indicated by Mr. Montori.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. What's the next order of business here? So this one here, so just for the residents, we had, we actually got a letter from the board, so to discuss, it's called an ACT, as an ACT, A-C-T, H 3976. What this pertains to is the awareness of sewer pollution in public waters. And Mr. Montori, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts asking us to essentially review this and literally take a vote and adopt it or approve it. Endorse it. But here's the deal. I don't have enough time, and this was pretty involved. I want to do a lot more homework. So for this item here, I'd like to table it to a future board meeting.
I would make a motion to table this item to a future board meeting, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. So we'll bring this up, thank you very much. We'll bring this up at a later date after we do our homework and see what that's all about. All right, Mr. Montori, this brings us to the town manager section.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a few things. First, I have senior town council invoice for August 2019 in the amount of $6,200. I would recommend approval.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous.
We have a town council invoice for September 1st, 2019 through September 15th, 2019 in the amount of $2,592.50. I would recommend approval.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
And then we have, the board needs to approve the Halloween hours for October 31st, 2019. And as we have in the past, we're recommending 6 PM to 8 PM.
Questions from the board? I always giggle at this one, but it has to be said.
It has to be said.
One of my favorite things. I'll make a motion to approve the hours as presented by the town manager and supported, of course, by our police chief.
Second.
Correct. Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous.
And just two quick things, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to remind the board and let the residents know that on October 17th, which is this Thursday, the Board of Health will be having a meeting with our local state representatives to discuss the issues of vaping and e-cigarettes and potential state legislation and potential local Board of Health options. So I just want to make everyone aware of that. And then finally, during the month of October, National Grid will be having helicopter inspections of their transmission lines throughout Rhode Island and eastern Mass and New Hampshire, and one of those transmission line locations runs from Burlington through Tewksbury. So if they see a helicopter, a low-line helicopter in that area, they are doing inspections of their transmission lines. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Montori. Okay, next, I'm going to defer to the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of January 22nd, 2019.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second that.
A second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the February 26th, 2019 meeting minutes for the board.
Motion, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
And I guess just for discussion, just to let the residents know, we do read these and just basically check for grammar, accuracy, so we do our homework prior to this. I just, I know we're going very quickly, so I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous, thank you. All right, and that brings us to board member reports. Why don't we start with Mr. Kratman?
Okay, the Lowell Regional Transit Board, we met on 9/26. Had a bunch of discussions about Sunday service that we had. We were able to apply for a grant. It was a big success through the community. Actually, Tewksbury route was the #1 route that was used through all the communities from the Lowell Regional Transit Board. So the residents, I want to thank the town manager and the staff, everybody put out the publicity about how it was being used, and I know a lot of people took use of it. They went to the supermarket, they went to church, got to the Wilmington train station, wherever they needed to get to. But Tewksbury was the #1 use of it, and it seemed to be a really big success, and we're going to try to keep that thing going to make sure that we have Sunday service. We also had some more conversations about maybe realigning some of our routes in town to see if we could get something that went to the library to try to come off there to work with the community. We're going to continue working on that, try to come up with some ideas to get some more services, especially with some of the new developments that are going on in town. On 9/30, I had a meeting with my Economic Development Committee. They came up with a lot of great ideas that I shared with the town manager about upgrading our website, trying to have some community involvement, meeting with the businesses to see what they're looking for, and actually talking with some of the reasons that maybe some of the business didn't come here, or why something failed, and to try to bring those to light and see if we can improve on those type of things and get some work in our community to hopefully help small businesses and other businesses that come to Tewksbury and to thrive and to work in this community. On 10/2, we had the zoning bylaw committee. We had a couple of discussions about some of the changes that are going to happen, and we're going to be scheduling some public meetings that'll be during the day, during night, to go through some of those things, and hopefully we'll have a lot of residents show up to those meetings, and any changes prior to going to town meeting, we'd like to hear them now, and to have the open discussions about what the residents are looking for in zoning bylaw changes, and that's why we're going to have those meetings this fall. The last thing I have to say is, I know a lot of the residents are fed up with the utility work that's going on 38. We are too, but there's a reason for it. A lot of the reason that we've been pushing and we've been allowing the crews to go out there, I spoke to the town manager, I spoke with the police chief, a couple of people, to see if we could get not only one crew, but we wanted 2 crews out there to push the utility companies to get those trenches fixed and get them done before the winter. The reason that we're pushing to get that done is that we're trying to get Mass DOT to come in before the end of this season, and once those trenches and the water lines are all repaired and the gas lines have been repaired, the plan is within the next couple of weeks to have from Pike Street to Old Boston Road completely milled and resurfaced. The road is in bad repair. We understand that, but we could not do that without at least getting the utilities. There's no use resurfacing a road and then having a water break out there, or have a utility come out there and say they have a gas leak. So we understand your frustration. I understand it. I've heard a lot of people complaining about the trenches and how much the delays are out there, but there was a plan behind it. We were trying to push them to get the work to get done. We're going to continue to push the utility companies and push our own crews to get things done so that we can get all of 38 resurfaced and get those type of things done so that nobody has to be driving up and down, spilling their coffee, hitting those bumps. I'm fed up with it. I know you are too, but there's a plan behind it, and I just wanted to make that clear to the residents that hopefully they're going to see some improvements by the end of the year. So, thank you.
Very good. Ms. Stronach?
Thank you. As I mentioned earlier, the local housing partnership has a meeting tomorrow night here at Town Hall. And the elementary school building committee work is really ramping up. The Consigli, which is the the construction company, they'll be meeting with the school committee tomorrow night, 7 p.m. So if they're looking for information to go to that. We have a meeting scheduled for October 24th. That's our regular committee meeting for this month. I am in the process of potentially canceling that due to some scheduling conflicts, and I am working with the project manager to reset that date. On October 22nd, they will be going before the planning board for the conceptual, and last Wednesday night, they went before the Conservation Committee. This will be the first meeting before the Conservation, it'll be the first meeting before the Planning Board. I would like residents to note that the Conservation Committee voted to hire a third-party consultant to look at those wetlands to make sure that what is being provided to them is accurate information. It's really due diligence on their part, making sure that what the wetlands have been outlined are accurate. So that's a third set of eyes that's going to be on that. We think that that is a great move by the Conservation Committee and support that. And I'd just like to remind people to make sure that they complete their census reports. It's really important information, and a lot of funding comes because of those reports, as well as housing information that we work with on the local housing. So that's really important for people to do that. I would also like to mention that the school department will be hosting their Apple Fest on October 26th. And other than that, I would have nothing else to report, Mr.
Okay, very good. Ms. Wellman?
Okay.
Ladies before gentlemen.
Very briefly, because it's late. I would like to just note that we had the cleanup day, not this past week, the week before. We had 175 volunteers come and pick up trash, clean the rain gardens, clear trails, clean up the Shawshene River. And we had a special collection of nips. We gathered over 2,164 nip containers in the areas that were picked up. and 10 syringes were collected by police, along with hazardous waste, a plastic chair, some tires, and a bed. So, keeping it very interesting. We're very grateful to our volunteers who came out on Beautification Day. And then tomorrow night, NIMCOG is meeting for the annual meeting at Lindsay's, and there's a dinner, and there's a presentation, and there's a business meeting before that, and I'll be going to that. Thank you.
Very good. Mr. Brian Dick.
Nothing to report from the field subcommittee. The only thing I did is I did go to the elementary building committee back on the 3rd, and I thought it was run very well. I thought there was a lot of good information, so stay plugged into that. I thought Mrs. Stronach did a great job chairing that meeting, and there was a lot of great activity that they ran down through the project, so it was good to hear that information. That's about it.
All right, cool. Short and sweet. Just to echo Ms. Wellman's comments. That was incredible. What was that? October 5th. We had over 150 volunteers. That was incredible. So a lot of work done. And you could see all the different, all the barrels and stuff. So, and a huge shout out to the DPW because they helped us on Sunday and Monday, picking all the stuff up that we all picked up. So that was pretty cool. Just for the board, I'm going to meet with the Open Space Committee on Thursday. They invited me there. Typically, I don't go to other committees, because it's not my place or our place, but I'm going to go and listen and invite them to an upcoming selectmen meeting and say, hey, what are some of the activities you're doing, how you're doing it, and invite them to a selectmen meeting so they can advertise their great work, and we can kind of use this as a platform to get that out to the residents again. So I'll meet with the Open Space Committee. Shout out, so October is Tewksbury Substance Use Prevention and Education Month, so shout out to the Chief Sheehan and to the police. They have activities all this month. We can go to the Tewksbury website to understand what they're doing, when they're doing it. But they have a ton of activities and just raising awareness around substance abuse, opioids. So please take advantage of it. Some of them you have to register because classes or the particular venues get filled up quickly. So again, that's throughout the month of October. And last but not least, 10th annual dinner at the Tewksbury Country Club honoring our veterans and warriors. It's November 11th. However, you have to need to RSVP by October 31st for information. Again, that's honoring our veterans and warriors at the Tewksbury Country Club, November 11th. And that's all I have. That's it. I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you.